All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Rocky Top Insider Instant Reaction Show. This is Ryan Shumpert. I am Rick Butler, standing right here on the field of Neyland Stadium. Tennessee defeats South Carolina tonight by a score of 41-20. Ryan, there are so many different angles to take with this game. We could talk about Tennessee's improved defense. We could talk about the efficiency. We could talk about the third down efficiency from Tennessee's defense. We're going to talk about the injury later on. Where do you want to start with this? Just kind of a broad standpoint. Tennessee defeats South Carolina, gets a little bit of revenge after last year's drumming.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me is there were some similarities in this game to the last time Tennessee was in dark mode uniforms against Kentucky, and that starts with how good Tennessee's defense was. And I thought they were really fantastic tonight. They give up just 21 points? 20 points?
20 points.
20 points. Obviously, the big mistake, the 75-yard touchdown, they didn't really fit well in the run game on the first play to second half. Another one of South Carolina, I guess the only other touchdown came on a short field when Joe Milton made a mistake and threw an interception early in the ball game. But Duvall's defense was just fantastic. And much like that Kentucky game last year, when Nico Slaughter had the big hit and Jawan Mitchell had a big interception return that really flipped the momentum, same thing happens tonight. Tennessee gets pressure on Spencer Rattler. The Gamecocks a little aggressive on 3rd and 22, trying to push the ball down the field. He sails a pass right into Kamal Hadden's arms, and man, Kamal Hadden, an ultimate sense of flipping from last year's game when he was terrible and Rattler was really, really good and went at him consistently. Hadden was really solid tonight, and certainly that was the best play of his Tennessee career. So he waltzed into the end zone for pick six that really completely changed the dynamic of the game, and South Carolina was never within single digits again after that play.
He hit the Sanders shuffle after that, did he not?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
I don't know about that. Come on now.
Maybe we'll figure out someday. I do agree, though. I really look at Tennessee's secondary and obviously the defense as a whole, but I thought the secondary stepped up, particularly Wesley Walker.
Yeah.
I thought he was great tonight against South Carolina's offense, but it just felt like South Carolina couldn't get their offense going. It just felt like Tennessee was really able to limit them in what they were doing. Spencer Rattler came in as the 3rd highest passer in the SEC. Tennessee held him in check for a relatively good part of the game, and a lot of it was because of the pass rush as well.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And look, I probably said this a lot. People who listen probably rolling their eyes at me, but, you know, football is a complicated game, but it's a simple game. It comes down to quarterback play and how you play on the line of scrimmages. And Joe Milton wasn't great tonight, but with what Tennessee was able to do on both lines of scrimmage, on the defensive side, it made Spencer Rattler pedestrian. I said this week I thought he was the best quarterback in the SEC. And then, you know, the pick six to Hadden was really bad. But besides that, I didn't even think Rattler played that bad. Tennessee was just consistently in the backfield. Pass rush dominated the game. James Pierce, again, coming out party to some degree. He's been a guy that Tennessee has not had off the edge. And he's kind of taken Tennessee's pass rush to a whole nother level. They bottled up South Carolina's run game. I think it was about 55 yards besides that one long touchdown run.
Yeah.
And then you flip it on the other side, Cooper Mays being back. You know, we speculated how big that would be for Tennessee, and that was the best game Tennessee's offensive line's had all year. Tennessee averaged 6 yards a carry. Really had one long run, the 42-yard touchdown from Jalen Wright. But besides that, not a ton of long runs that really skewed those numbers. So they dominated on the ground, and they really kept Joe Milton upright, too, had good pass protection.
I want to get back to the defense real quick before we move over to a little bit more offensive stuff. I'm going to give you a stat.
Okay.
I know you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Because I just saw it in a tweet.
Did somebody?
By the way, at rshump00.
Pretty good stat I found there.
2 of 14 for South Carolina on 3rd downs.
Yep.
That was major. We talked about it in podcasts leading into the game. We talked about it written online leading into the game. Tennessee had to be better on 3rd down. What stands out about that number to you, that stat, 2 of 14?
Yeah, well, I give myself credit for that stat. I went back and found 8 of 11 last year is what South Carolina was on 3rd down in this game, where they just tormented Tennessee. And no, you're right. I think it starts with getting South Carolina in the 3rd and long. They did that a lot. And Rattler did make a few plays scrambling or getting out of the pocket and making throws, but they got him in 3rd and long, obvious passing downs, and that's when Tennessee was able to kind of pin their ears back and go after Rattler and kind of capitalize on this weak South Carolina offensive line, especially at left tackle where they have a true freshman starting. So that was big, but again, there were a number of short yardage situations where South Carolina couldn't run the ball and pick up 3rd and short against Tennessee, and it just makes playing offense a whole lot harder when you can't do that. And that kind of leads me into, I thought, one of the biggest moments of the game. You know, Tennessee scores to go up 21 on the opening drive of the second half. South Carolina has that long touchdown. Tennessee goes 3 and out. South Carolina's driving. They have 3rd and 2 at about the Tennessee 30-yard line, 33-yard line. They get a yard. Jeremiah Thielander, the freshman, makes a really nice tackle. It's 4th and inches, QB sneak. Best play in sports. Tennessee stuffs it, and at that point, flipped all the momentum back in Tennessee's way. And Tennessee maybe didn't run away with it from that point, but there was no doubt the Vols were going to win at any point after that in the game.
Yeah, and I think even adding on to that, besides that 175-yard touchdown, because they did not answer it after that, Tennessee answers South Carolina's touchdowns in this game. You look at it, South Carolina scored with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Tennessee scored a minute and a half later with the Jabari Small touchdown run.
Drive,
and I believe that was the Squirrel White catch right here on the sideline. Go a little bit later on in the game, South Carolina scores in the fourth quarter. 4 minutes later, Tennessee punches it in with Dylan Sampson as well. So again, you did have that one long run that Tennessee didn't respond to, but otherwise, South Carolina put the ball in the end zone. Tennessee was able to respond.
I thought that last one, too, was maybe Tennessee's best drive of the game, and I really liked what Josh Heupel and Joey Hausley did on it, too. South Carolina gets it to 2 possessions with a field goal. 8-9 minutes left. Everybody in the building thinks Tennessee's going to go ground game. Let's run clock. First 2 plays, they pass it. They hit a slant to Chaz Nimrod, and maybe a quick pass out to Jacob Moore, and they pick up 2 first downs, cross midfield, and that's where they leaned on the run game. They just went with Dylan Sampson right at South Carolina. He had a really nice run, and then obviously the 6-yard one on the score that officially put the game to bed.
It's hard. I know people have said this before, so I'm not breaking any news. I'm not creating a new thought, but it is hard to watch Dylan Sampson with that number 6 jersey and not think of Alvin Kamara. He's dynamic on the field, but you know who else was dynamic on the field today? That was Squirrel White. He really did a phenomenal job just with what he was able to do in his role in the offense. I believe he had 9 targets. He had 9 receptions, 104 yards, 35 yards after catching it. Obviously, we just mentioned that one where he said himself, he said, I don't even know how I caught it. My hands were out. I felt the ball, and I hauled it in. That was just a jaw-dropping play right here, but I really thought that he had a great day today, and we'll get into it here in a minute. Brew McCoy, don't have any kind of update on him. Josh Heupel said that'll come either tomorrow or Monday. But if, and it does seem like maybe a likely if Brew McCoy needs to miss extended time, Squirrel White's going to be one of those players that become more valuable in his absence. Even though they're not playing the same style or playing the same position, hey, you look for these targets that Joe Milton is familiar with, that he's comfortable with, and I think that Squirrel White is definitely one of those, no matter who else is on the field.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's going to be interesting to see with Dante Thornton how if McCoy's out, how everything works out rotation-wise. But yeah, Squirrel White. To quote Josh Heupel, hell of a night. He was really good. The long catch, again, like you said, it was a huge answer to South Carolina taking the lead for the first time. Its only time in the game. Unbelievable catch, clear pass interference on it. And, it was a talking point from Josh Heupel. Little old Squirrel White was 150 pounds when he showed up on campus. He just sticks his nose in it and physical running the ball in the screen game. He's a fun player to watch, and arguably his best night as a Volunteer.
I would certainly agree. We've already said his name 2 or 3 times so far, so we might as well get right into it. Brew McCoy goes down with an injury in the middle of the game, and it was one of the kind of injuries that you see it, you maybe see a replay, you look away, and you don't want to see it again. No matter who they play for, that's a kind of injury that you hate to see in the sport of football. But obviously, this is going to be something for Tennessee to overcome. As I just mentioned a second ago, no sort of update right now on that timetable or even what that injury is. But I think from context clues, we can get that he's probably going to miss a good bit of extended time.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine he's back anytime soon, and it would probably, not even probably, it'd be a massive win for himself and for Tennessee if he can return at any point this season. So you hate to see that. Super fun player to watch, and it's always something that stands out when you watch Tennessee, but it stood out earlier in the game is just how good Brew McCoy is run blocking, how good he is blocking down the field, and obviously, the initial thought is this is a physical receiver that is good catching the ball and running after catch, but he's also, as long as he's out, it's going to be a huge loss for Tennessee in their run game as well.
Yeah, I think I might have said it in one tweet after a specific play, but I think I said something along the lines of, hey, when the ball is in Dylan Sampson's hands and Brew McCoy is blocking down the field, that's typically a recipe for success. This place was wild tonight. Tennessee had a wonderful atmosphere, an electric atmosphere, like a lot of the times that you saw last year, just big games, Tennessee's crowd in it the whole time. That was big, of course. Tennessee had the dark mode jersey.
I think to your point, you continued to see Tennessee play really well at home, and this is just a different football team right now inside Neyland Stadium. And I'll go to another stat I had. To me, the second quarter was the defining moment in the game, how good Tennessee's defense was. South Carolina had 5 drives, second quarter, turnover on downs, 3 and out, pick 6. And then a very underrated moment in the game. South Carolina gets the ball at the 50-yard line, in a great spot to get some points before halftime after the unsportsmanlike conduct and the kick out of bounds. They get like 8 yards on first down. They get a sack. James Pierce and Dominique Bailey on second down, another 3 and out
Yep.
for South Carolina. So
Yep.
a great night for Tim Banks and his defensive unit.
Yeah, absolutely stepped up. My friend, it is already Sunday morning for us right here as we stand on the field of Neyland Stadium. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We still got a podcast to do. So, of course, if you want more kind of information and analysis from Tennessee's win over South Carolina tonight, make sure you're going and checking out the RTI Press Pass podcast. Ryan and I are going to record that here in just a few minutes. We'll get to break down our thoughts a little bit more about this game, maybe dive into more of what made the defense so good, what the offense was doing well, and being able to respond to South Carolina. So we will get all that done here soon. But otherwise, we're going to head back up and continue to work. Thank you very much for listening to the show today. Tennessee defeats South Carolina by a score of 41-20 right here in Neyland Stadium. This is Ryan Shumpert. I'm Rick Butler. We'll see you back soon. Thanks for listening to the Rocky Top Insider postgame show.